Hey, it's the Low Life Podcast.
Do you know anything about nightmares? Can you jam the tops of cowboys and cyberspace? Ever read Neuromancer? Ever experienced the new wave? Next wave? Dream wave? Or cyberpunk? I didn't think so. In there, it's a world where you can't do the same thing. I know what you look like. A world where curiosity and imagination.
I'd buy that for $1. Hack the planet! Hack the planet! Hack the planet! Hack the planet! Shut up and get in the car!
Go away, Baton!
Yep, you found us. It's the Low Life Podcast. I am going up some McGillicuddy, and I put a little bit of tincture in my iced tea, and we are on a ticking clock. You're joined, as always, by Shadowlink,
Hello.
Scum,
Hi.
Zero,
Broadcasting live from the embattled Low Life Studios.
well done. And we are joined by a very special guest, Soft Rock, who Zero will explain forthwith.
What's up? What's up?
Yeah. So I moved. I'm no longer in Virginia. I'm in Ohio now.
And location. We don't need to.
Just-
We don't need to help our Fed watchers find you.
I mean, Ohio.
Again.
Look, there's an office here in town, so it's fine. They know. Not even worried about that. They're probably happy to have me.
Yeah. Now you moved into a meme.
You got to make them earn that salary. Come on.
You know, all the kids are calling and oh, that's so Ohio. I was like, man, we've been saying that. You ain't even insulting us and shit. Anyway, before we get into it,
Yeah.
a couple weeks, huh?
Yeah.
How'd you like that Runaway movie, listener? We're going to be doing another movie review next week. We'll tell you about that at the end. Let's see. And, I guess we'll just get into it right after these messages. Is the thing I would say if we had commercials. And we don't. Hey, zing. We have a Patreon, however. If you,
Yes.
well, let me break this down. If you go to neondystopia.com, you're going to get some really good fiction. And it'll link you to basically everything else that we're kind of into, including this
And
podcast.
hopefully more nonfiction in the
Yeah,
future.
we're getting some more nonfiction going on.
Hopefully.
We also have that, like I said, a Patreon where if you like what we're doing and you'd like to kick us some butt, we appreciate it because it helps us to do all sorts of crazy shit. Like
Yeah.
rent the movie that we're going to review and
Yeah.
also pay the writers.
Absolutely.
Submit
Yeah.
stuff. So,
And thank you to everybody who is donating currently.
Yes. Thank you so
You
much. It
guys
helps
keep
us
the
a lot.
lights on. We appreciate it so much.
Indeed. So
You. Yeah.
this is my
Please.
fault.
Yeah,
this
it
my
is.
fault. So what had happened was,
This week, on this week's thrilling episode.
yeah, I before I left Virginia, I got to hang out with Zero for a bit, and also our friend Soft Rock briefly. And I don't know what came over me. I think it was probably because I was on my third Red Bull or something. But I was just like, "Yo, man, we come back. We're gonna do a fucking episode about Poe's Law." And guess what? We tried our best to try to structure something. There's no way really to do it. It's basically what we're going to do is just kind of talk about what Poe's Law is, since it's a pretty recent internet thing. Fairly recent. It's fucking 7 years ago.
Yeah, last 5-10 years for sure.
And it's a concept that, once you hold in your mind, really kind of helps clear certain things out for you a bit. But it's also cautionary because, at the core of this, we are kind of like a writer's podcast. Like I'm trying to get back into the game, etc. We're all at various stages of it. And what to write is important. Like why you're approaching the thing is important. Why you want to create something, put something into the world. Like that's very, very important. And one of the trickiest things is comedy, and like within comedy, one of the trickiest things to do is satire. Mostly because sometimes you have a few different options. Like you have, wow, that fucking worked. That was hilarious. Well done. Then you also have the try hard sons of bitches. Like this is a satire. This is mockery. It's like not even making a point. And then you have that third weird option where you're not sure what the fuck it's trying to do, which is often the worst because every act of creation is a form of communication. You're trying to move an idea out of your brain meat, stuff it into somebody else's brain meat.
And that third option is sometimes, curses. They think I'm serious.
Yes. That's the worst part. Where you don't come off as a satirist.
The third option goes both ways.
Yeah. So
imagine, if you will, if somebody in, let's say, the 19th century or something. No, it wasn't the 19th. The 17th century. Someone wrote an essay on how people should start eating babies.
Yeah.
Irishmen make incredible leg meats.
Yeah.
We should totally eat babies.
But I mean, as a working definition from my studies, and by the way, this one kind of baked my brain a little bit because besides the ingesting, Poe's law, getting a definition that we can talk about, I went down kind of a rabbit hole on post-irony, postmodernism, hyper-irony, meta-irony, irony.
Good God.
Way too much work for what this was supposed to be.
New sincerity is another one that is kind of...
Oh, wow. Okay.
But anyhow, as a working definition, what I came to is that Poe's law is that you can't argue anything from an extreme viewpoint online without somebody believing that you are being serious.
Right.
And as a little bit of a digression, that's why I wanted to have Soft Rock on here. Soft Rock and I go way back to the early days of when the internet came to you from AOL on CDs in the mail, and the internet screamed at you when you tried to hook up to it. Yeah, back in the days of 14.4 modems, we would get on BBSs, and we were just like, literally, we were probably some of the first trolls that existed. I'm not sure that they had a name for us back then. But AOL was in Herndon. It was like 15-minute drive. We got a lot of the CDs, and we would go on there. We thought we were providing a service to people to make them more entertained by like just coming at them with ridiculous ideas, confusing viewpoints, extreme viewpoints, and we would just like do this for fun all the time. We would go coordinate attacks, go into chat rooms together on different message boards, pretending to be strangers and just like stirring shit up for fun. Again, at like 17, 18, 19 years old. And it's kind of like made a profession of it. Well, I wouldn't say a profession. I'd say you're more of like a guerrilla shit poster. I mean, nobody pays you to do it. Soft Rock. Do it for fun.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It's more of kind of a social experiment, sort of just seeing how people react and stuff. Because like, it was something I was sort of into for a while. I had no idea even was called trolling or whatever until there was some South Park episode about it. I hadn't done it like any time recent like that or whatever. Yeah. But my ex's kid, he did all that, and he just aggravating just anything and everything you could think of just to piss you off or whatever. And a few years later, just kind of like bored, whatever, just thought like, I'm just gonna I'm reading like the comments on like news and stuff like that, online news. So I can't tell if these people are real or not. So I started getting on Quora and just kind of messing with people, whatever, just trying to like see if these people are serious or not. And I can't tell. After all this time, I've asked like over 800 questions on Quora, just the most obnoxious, just crazy, just nuts, out of control stuff. And there's people that like answer it. I think they're really serious. I can't tell. But.
Well, online isn't. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. We were like hashing this out Sunday, not yesterday, Sunday.
Oh my god,
we were hashing this out.
Some of us are experiencing missing time.
Yeah, I don't know what I did yesterday. I saw Furiosa. Anyway, I put my brain into it now because it's like when you're talking to somebody online, no matter how batshit the subject matter is, or no matter how insane, depraved, idiotic, you have to assume they're telling the truth, right?
No.
Well, where do you come at it with your initial, like, how's your reception? Do you initially believe that they're coming, like, with their heart on their sleeve, or do you believe that people are online like deceptive creatures waiting for you to slip up?
I mean, I guess
Well,
it depends on the space that you're in, really. But for me, like
if
my,
you're in
my specific brand of autism, like, disallows me from being able to sense sometimes when people are being sarcastic, especially in writing. It's ironic because, I want to write, but sometimes, like, listen, if you handed me Fight Club without showing me the movie and I read through it, I would have thought that was serious.
No, I don't know. I thought the book was funny as fuck.
Yeah, well,
but I read the book after
really
I saw the movie, which I thought was funny as fuck. You know what I mean?
I'm bad at sensing humor in writing a lot of times. Is my point.
Okay.
Especially if the writer is not writing for the people in the narrative to be reacting to it, but writing for you to be reacting to it. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. But we're talking about what Softrock's talking about is like in Quora. In case you don't know what Quora is, it is the cesspool of the internet where anybody could ask any question, no matter how stupid or depraved.
Or offensive.
And so, Softrock, you asked these questions. Knowing your background, I imagine of a political nature, right? Like you went like...
yeah, at least half of it's like that, yeah.
Okay. And so you went into it, and so the answers that... So you weren't... Explain more of like their answer. Like you weren't sure, like what was the question and why weren't you sure?
I can't even think of anything that's even like safe to do on a podcast.
I remember you told me there was that's safe to put on the podcast. I remember you telling me there was one where like there was something, it was an extreme viewpoint, and you were like, you and this guy were like kind of egging on, and then like you even went to him afterwards in like a private message. You're like, you're not serious, right? Like,
yeah, and he like he seemed like totally offended that I thought he was just messing around or whatever. I can't remember what the topic was. It was so ridiculously stupid. The position I was taking was just awful, and I'm like mess with them, whatever. And I'm like, just kind of like sort of like, I guess messing him privately, kind of like pulling him aside. If it wasn't personally pulling him aside, like, hey, were you serious, whatever. Oh my! He just laid into me like he was just like, "Are you
Nazi memorabilia?"
No, he like went on and on and on, and then like I responded to something stupid. I'm like, "All right, my bad. I didn't know. I didn't realize people would really like actively that stupid, like really, really trying to like." But you're not even trying to be stupid. You're being serious. Like I don't know.
They will surprise
he went on again and again. Just I don't know.
Well, it's the thing. You can't like satirically. I'm saying Nazi. I don't know if it was, but it's like you can't satirically be a Nazi because a bunch of Nazis are going to be like, "Yeah, man."
Right.
And honestly, that was part of what we found in those early days online. That anytime we'd have some kind of like of a right viewpoint, eventually there's somebody that's just like, "Right on, brother," and it's like, "Oh,
you actually think we should gas homeless people? Oh shit!"
It was stuff like it would be stuff like that. Like one would be like, people would be talking about poor people and be like, "Yeah, if only we could get them to like." Eventually, we would argue them around to talking about indentured servitude or like homeless people. Let's argue them around to rounding them up into camps, like where we can.
You are giving them ideas.
We're bringing them around to horrible ideas that were already tried, and kind of pointing at them to where in history those ideas came from and how they were tried.
Yeah. So basically, you guys were acting the part of the clown, like. In the sense of like Sacha Baron Cohen, right?
Absolutely, yeah, that's 100%. Yeah.
But it wasn't like, but it was intentionally just to f with these people, dude. They have just horrible. They're just so stupid. I just want to like mess with the people. Like, the other thing I found that's really funny too is like doing these kind of like impersonations and just stuff or whatever, right? So the people like I can mess with people sort of like on my general side, whatever, the left, whatever, can. Just get them like all going. The right wing dudes though, usually they're just like, "Fuck you, you're fucking around." Blah, blah, blah. Like they can just tell right away. I'm like,
they smell it out a lot quicker.
Yeah, I mean they just know if somebody's not sincere, or whatever. It's like I've been trying to like fake it, I guess, for a month or two now. I've been off of work, so.
I wouldn't take that too personally because anything they don't like ends up becoming a false flag. Or, for example, like, oh, the guy that took a shot at Trump was actually Antifa, or like whatever they can do to sanitize their guilt. Like this is what they do, or their involvement, or their.
Yeah,
another one.
It's weird though. I have not been able to get any of them thinking like I'm one of them. I've been trying to like get into like their sort of little cruise or whatever, see kind of what they talk about in private.
Yeah,
I just like it started off as just like a joke, just like are these people serious or not? And it's just I'm not working right now and everything, so I've got time until I move. I'm all good, so just doing this. I guess.
And in your spare
couple irons
time,
in the fire.
you choose to antagonize fascists.
Yeah.
Well done,
Yeah.
sir.
As far as hobbies go,
And it used to be like super leftist too. Now it's very popular. The paradox of intolerance.
yeah.
Paradox of intolerance, but back then it wasn't so much. You have these people proposing this radical inclusion, and I tolerate everything. I'm like, oh yeah, do you tolerate Jews in ovens? And they're like, well, actually, So it's like it's just getting people to think more. And again, now the paradox of intolerance is very well known, and it's like you can't tolerate tolerance.
Yeah.
But getting people to realize that kind of come down off their high horse a little bit to be like, there are certain things that we just should not tolerate. Was part of the fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with any absolutist. Like, eventually, it doesn't take too many steps to show them, like, well, what about this? And then they go, oh, there have to be, like, that's how you make a fucking society.
But
That's why we have, like safety regulations. You know what I mean? You can't do anything you want. There are things that will physically, like, clearly prevent you from doing those things. Go pick up an aircraft carrier with one arm. No,
Well, let's take it back a little bit because we're getting way ahead of like Poe's law itself is an internet thing that was first devised basically is like something where it's like to talk. This dude was talking to creationists online.
Oh, so frustrating! Why would you do that?
And it was something he realized is like unless you have like this is a smiley face at the end of it, religious people are going to take what you're saying is like they're not going to think that you're.
And the smiley
sarcastic.
emoji goes back farther than that. I don't remember. I want to say like mid 80s, late 80s, something like that. When people first started getting online, there's a big, and I remember being chastised a lot for this too. It was like, hey, dude, if you're not going to be serious, you got to put a little smiley and colons next to your name. And I was just like, well, I'd have to do what now? You tell me what?
We're like at least a decade into people not being sure whether or not /X at the end of your statement, means you'll understand that means sarcastic. You know what I mean? Like,
like you can't.
There's no real good, clear, universal way.
Yeah, it's hard to make something a parody when you're reading something, you would think that's just straight up true.
To be honest, though, I think the one that works for me, but is also the most work, is the one where you like capitalize every other letter.
Yes, I love that.
It's a lot of work unless you have like a keyboard. If you're trying to thumb it, on your fucking phone,
it is worth it.
Sometimes it hits. It just hits so
tone. Perfect tone.
Is what I hear, like anyway. But yeah, no, Poe's law, like it is like the way I think about it in my writing is it presents this problem of like, can I express like the absurdity of a situation without people think I'm endorsing it?
I think in writing you can because I'm assuming you're talking about like fiction because in your writing you can. Because it's fictitious, and this is your meaning, and as a whole of your work, it can be interpreted different ways, obviously. But like you obviously were trying to tell something, whether you did it successfully or not.
Well,
I
again,
don't know.
Writ large, this is why a generation of young men misunderstood Fight Club or took the
or
the
the Matrix,
or American Psycho, or like there's a whole list of books that. Well, even the old stuff, even fucking like the way nobody reads fucking Grapes of Wrath anymore.
Yeah.
And, now we have this stuff that's kind of more surface level and more like interactional, and nobody's really taken any real big swings lately. Except, I don't know, Kim Stanley Robinson, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
But
okay, so if it's not the writer's fault, because obviously your writing and art are meant to be interpreted, and clearly we don't have enough critical thinking skills to well,
you have varying levels of education, as well as the fact that there are 8.5
that's what I was getting into,
billion people.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting into is like, like it's not the work's fault. It's
Writing-
more it's the matter that we're humans and people have been thinking this way for a long time. You're not going to get shit.
Yeah.
And that's
writing is
I guess.
is different because there's intention and there is a lot of energy that is stored within that.
Mhm.
You have the opportunity with writing to make a point and make it very clear and concise with your available resources. If you're just shitposting online, like nobody's going to even put the effort into making some sort of masterpiece of. I guess.
Well, let's.
I don't know.
mean,
I can think of about 4.
I was
Three
gonna
of
say,
them
you
are-
can be a masterpiece at shitposting.
Three of them are from Drill, so it's like
But
the most recent one told us all that JD Vance was fucking couches.
yes,
Masterpiece.
Yes.
Masterpiece. That's a brilliant piece of writing.
And-
I love it.
I mean, oh man,
It's an
that's,
ultra-
that's why we're talking about this.
That's why we're talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Because everybody knows it's not true.
Yeah.
But it's still like, but he has such couch fucking energy. Like it's I'm letting this wash over me the way the whole Kendrick Drake thing washed over me. I was just like, holy fucking shit. I can't believe what I'm seeing. It's like the planet hitting in Melancholia. I was like,
Well, this brings it up too about like how this kind of can manipulate reality in a lot of ways.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know, because Poe's law is about like kind of not understanding like when the impossibility of being able to, without human face to look at, being able to understand that something is sarcasm.
Yeah.
With JD Vance fucking a couch, it is that.
It's very X-Files. It's very I want to believe.
Well, I think one of the best for this instance in particular, this example, the couch example in particular, one of the best ones that we came across, we were kicking around the other day in our production meeting, was the Werner Herzog concept of the ecstatic truth, the truth which he says transcends mere facts, or what he calls the accountant's reality.
Yeah.
The ecstatic truth can capture the human experience more faithfully, enabling people to have a deeper emotional connection with the meme
Yeah.
vibe.
I mean, gestures toward all of religion.
Yeah, like it's more of, yeah.
It's vibes, man.
You can't you can dispute religion, but like most of the time it doesn't work out very well.
I don't know, man. I've seen people lose their minds in like church. You've seen footage of people at these weird evangelical snake dancing churches and shit like that. I'm not saying it's real. I'm saying they're high as fuck.
Yes.
Like they're enjoying this dance. They
Opiate
love
of the
this
masses,
music.
guys. Opiate of the masses.
I think they're raves, man. I get it.
Well, I'm sure people in Quora were also the same. See, this is where my brain starts to like backfire, right? Because we're talking about that, but when you're talking about like just people online and you're infiltrating their like weird Nazi,
How much of this
community.
is the internet's fault? That's what you're asking.
Well, hold on. This is where my brain gets fucked up. Is because with that, like with satire is satire, right? There's art there, and whether you would understand it or not, or it goes over your head. But then we have you, soft rock, infiltrating someone's Nazi bullshit, and they don't understand. Well, I don't know, because you're like a clandestine agent, like how maybe they don't understand, like
freewheeling agent of chaos.
What were you telling me?
Yeah.
What were you telling me the other day? There was like a guy that's like kind of a pseudo right-wing influencer, and he tried to prove a point, and he actually linked you to something that proved your point. I mean, this is typical. Everyone who's ever tried to argue somebody online has done this. But go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, here's the problem. It's like people just like they will just link the headline, like an article that has a headline that they think sounds like kind of like it's going to back up what they say.
Yeah.
I actually read the article, like, no, it doesn't at all. I can tell what they did. They saw like the headline and thought, oh, and then maybe like the first paragraph, and saw a little bit of it and figured out like what it meant in the rest of the article from that. It's just
You gotta read this whole thing.
Oh my god, read it.
Have you ever met like an actual Christian? This is what they do. Like they do this constantly.
This isn't just them
live
either.
whatever.
I do this sometimes.
Literally everybody does it.
we
Every
all do
human
this.
being
This
does
is
it. to
literally
some extent.
Alex Jones's entire career.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he'll print out entire articles, talk about the headline, and then there are so many instances where, like that, say the Knowledge Break podcast has caught him on mic reading the fucking thing aloud and realizing, oh shit, this just demolished my point.
And fuck it, like I would kind of flub things or stretch things a little bit to in order to provide a source for some of my articles. Sometimes, I mean, everybody does it. Like it's a human thing, but like
before
the commitment to that, like the commitment to doubling down is.
I think it ties into what we're saying about like shit going over people's heads is as an example of lack of critical thinking in like different levels of education, because there's like like you were saying, like how many billions of us.
I mean, age.
Yeah. Age.
I don't think it's like evil. You know what I mean? I think,
it's not.
If you're doing a nonfiction article, all right, you want to have citations and sources, and you want your sources to be good and solid and accurate, and you need to know
because we
how
can't
to find those things. You have to know what it takes. Like you can't just be like, well, this was on
professionalism. We're talking about
Yahoo
just like
or Newsweek.com.
Yeah, we're talking like
this is the public fucking square. Like
exactly,
but it's in everyone's face.
This is just people.
Choose to subscribe to it if you want to, like it's very interactive that way. And the whole time it's going to scream at you to like buy Viagra.
Right.
Or something.
So I'm in the public square. I'm Joe Scumfuck, and I have just read something online.
No real names.
Nope.
We have no names.
Excuse me, Cletus.
We are nameless.
And I just read an article. I don't know, some conversation online. Or like, I've seen, oh fuck, this is the other thing that makes my brain, like the idea of like, AI shit and like boomers on Facebook think it's real. Like that's that's another level of this too.
Did you see the Swifties for Trump AI picture that he was showing people?
Oh my Jesus God. Christ. That was what I was going to, I have that one written in my notes here. I was like, are you effing serious?
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah.
Swifties, listen, Swifties do whatever the fuck T-Swift tells them to. Like,
we can only hope for such power.
Well, Trump is trying to
that's the one thing that was missing from that Civil War movie. It's just like,
that's what set it off.
Cresting the hills.
That's what set it off.
Of fucking Swifties with friendship bracelets and glow fucking bracelets and.
Well, I think this ties into
heads on pikes.
This ties into two of this. Post Love focuses more on like the idea of sarcasm, and we can bring it into satire, but there's just so much reality distortion in the internet of where we live and what we are exposed to.
Well, yeah,
like look at what passed as satire 30 years ago, and look at what the headlines look like now.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's another point I wanted to bring up was like how the Onion has just managed to be on top of it this whole time, like the last 30, 40 years.
Yeah, like, it's like eventually, like no matter how absurd you think you're going to be, reality is going to surpass it.
Yeah,
at some point.
So it seems. I would have never suspected.
When we started
20 years ago.
Yeah, when we started like keeping up with the Onion, I knew we were in trouble. I was just like, look, you don't understand. These guys are the master of the form. Like this is literally the greatest print publication I think the United States of America has ever produced.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than any of them. Crack, Mad Magazine, any of them. Blows them out of the fucking water. Because there's never been a time where I've read any of their articles and didn't at least chuckle.
Yeah.
Like, their batting average is insane. And that's fucking hard to do.
Yeah.
Like, when I lived in Chicago, I walked by their offices a bunch like, I should go in there. Nah. Don't do it. Because I think I felt too friendly. I think that was the problem.
Yeah, definitely more of a cracked vibe at the time.
Yeah,
I think.
Oh,
going back to what you were saying.
If we're talking about how the internet acts as a lens to focus over this, when people start writing headlines to be extreme, they're going to get more clicks. More clicks is going to drive the entire model forward. So it just makes it worse and worse.
Well, there's a good version of this that has existed and still exists to this day, even as an app. And that was Fark.com. Because like a lot of people were like, they were more into something awful forums, and I was more like a FARC forum guy, but I didn't really post much. And the gist of FARC was that like you would go there and you would submit a headline from like your local news station or some like CNN.com, like back when that mattered, and et cetera, et cetera. And then you would write like an alternate headline for it. And they were frequently very funny, and they still are. Like there's still people there, still holding it down, still submitting. But you would do it in
like a fixed it.
Well, yeah, it was kind of like a Reddit by tiers in a way. Like Reddit kind of ripped off FARC to a certain degree.
No, I mean when people write a new headline, like, oh, fixed it. This is what they're really saying. Fixed it.
Yeah,
yeah, something like that. Yeah, yeah. And they would have like headers and stuff like that. So, but if you had total FARC, there'd be like fucking say like 9/11 happens, and now there's 11,000 of these things, and you have to vote for the one that's going to get put up on the main page that people will see. And it was it's a fun place. It was like a really cool time. And they did have like a bunch of people from all over the place, like different political leanings and stuff like that. And then eventually like people would become friends through resisting them online. And then it turned into like wrestling. It wasn't even that people hated each other. They were just like, oh, it's this asshole kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It was really weird. And I've never seen it replicated except maybe like in our Discord. Where like people are just not, sniping for each other. And
yeah.
It's so exhausting. This maybe I just want to hang out with people online. I don't want to have to fucking like, I don't even really know you. Why are
I don't want to read your pamphlet, buddy. I don't want to read your pamphlet.
Participant Shadowlink is having a problem.
I mean, when is he not, right?
Media recorder is not working as expected.
He's coming up okay for me. I don't see anything.
Yeah, I got the alert. It doesn't matter.
Not working as expected. This sounds like a performance report. Jesus.
It's happening again. Okay, so what's going to happen here is I'm going to stop this recording, but stay in this room. Fucking Zencaster.
Again. Yeah. Strikes again.
Every time.
We lost actually, like 4 minutes of Shadowlink's audio, so we're
and it's always every time.
Actually,
no matter where he is,
taking up too much.
What we're having here, it looks like a DDoS attack. It's probably the EU, and
we're having a DDoS attack
right now.
I'll
tell you guys.
Okay, Mr. Musk.
Where's Chase Geyser?
In hell.
Oh my god. Anyway, yeah. So we had a DDoS attack from enemies of the Low Life podcast. We're going to pick up here, kind of like I don't know where the fuck what we were talking about a long head ago, but a minute ago, and we're just gonna Zero, bail me out here.
I don't know, just kind of riff more about it, I guess. Where we left off was just like how the internet has kind of like, I guess, supercharged the problem of Poe's Law, which is that I guess you can't have fun anymore. No,
I mean, kind of.
Like, well, the problem that I see with Poe's Law, with meta irony and things like that, is that it can be a shelter for people who really are shitty, and they just say, "What, you thought I was kidding? No, I wasn't serious."
It's the easy exit.
Well, it's the Schrodinger's douchebag problem. It's I had a friend like this, and I'm sure many people did in high school. And I'm from a small town, and I'm realizing more and more. If you're born and raised in a small town, like you've been raised around fascism your whole life, pretty much. But so and it's kind of dawning on me recently that this friend of mine, he did not read Mein Kampf, ironically, even though he said he was, even though he said, he wasn't wearing a German coat. Ironically, he's probably a fucking libertarian, proud gun owner, conspiracy theorist shithead.
I know what you're saying.
He read Mein Kampf the way the average dude wearing one of those like Irish hats in a coffee shop has read Finnegan's Wake.
Yeah, stuff like that'll hit me once in a while. Like I just realized, I just found out the other day that Timothy McVeigh, the federal building bomber, would listen to Bad Company on repeat, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I do that. I do that a lot. So, what does that mean? Like,
oh man,
it threw me for a minute. It's a good song, and like it is one that I will listen to on repeat. I just didn't know that also Mad Bomber Timothy McVeigh did it.
Styx's Renegade is that song for me, in case anyone's going to need to know that later.
Good, thanks.
But coming back to what you were saying, Scum, about old people and or specifically religious people not really understanding what on the internet is real and fake is because we live in an era of hyper reality at this point. Nobody knows what's fucking real. Even you and I don't know what's fucking real. There's just so much bullshit out there at this point. We could all be just going on the course of this narrative that's completely unhinged from reality and not know it at all. But we just have to use our best judgment.
But that's the thing. Yeah, we have to use our best judgment. It's difficult when, I don't know. You can have a conversation. You're not sure.
Hold up a second. Soft Rock, I can hear you breathing, man.
Yeah.
Are you flirting with me?
No.
Move the mic back a little bit. It's getting steamy in here. Sorry.
I had to untie my sweats.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because when you're having a conversation with someone, you're kind of I go into most conversations, but then again, my bar of absurdity and what is actually 100% correct is pretty odd and strange.
Yeah.
I once started a conversation about cloning people for cannibalism. So I'm not a good example of this. But when you're going into talking about the internet, you're expecting the most batshit thing and you're not talking about it seriously. Or on the other end, you kind of have to assume this person is being 100% serious.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you're not, I guess it's situational, but what is in the internet?
In this case, tell me about your cannibalism plan. It sounds like a modern proposal.
No. It was something Warren Ellis was talking about at the time, and the idea of scientists are cloning meat, so it's meat that never came off an animal. And I'm like, I agree with Warren Ellis. What if you just did people meat is people that never came off a person, and what if people meat is the greatest meat of all, and we just don't know?
I am sure we are delicious. But
thank you, science.
Anyway,
smells like bacon.
Anyway,
one of these. No. Let's get back to this really quick. Really quick, right? All of the things your parents tell you, oh, don't do this, don't do that. It turns out it's really fucking awesome. Maybe the whole laughing sickness thing is just some they're just trying to discourage it. Maybe human meat really is fucking amazing.
Yeah, what's a little prion
I definitely
disease?
believe we
Big
definitely
prion. Big prion is trying to get you to not eat the meat.
It's big prion.
No, it's the brains. You're not supposed to eat the brains. The rest of the meat is fine.
Yeah, but what if the brains are the best part?
Ta-da! This is Poe's Law.
Brains. This is how we summon Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Start eating the brains.
I gotta remember that one.
There has to be a DMT trip that has to give you a crazy DMT trip. But anyways.
What are you talking about? Eating Joe Rogan?
No. Well, that's another example of Poe's Law, because I don't want to say anything that's legally actionable, but the point is we could say satirically we should 100% eat Joe Rogan. You don't know if I'm joking. That's the problem.
None of us want to go to Texas.
No, absolutely. We'll never. No, thank you. I don't want to go to Texas.
I don't want to be driven in a comfortable car.
Yeah,
not after the last time, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh man,
best I keep out of that damn.
The Low Life Why did we talk? The Low Life podcast has never eaten anyone. Anyway,
but yeah. So and it's
to completion.
I don't know. Maybe the older you get, the less sensitive you are to sensing bullshit. Or
maybe, but it's also
actually.
I think
that's a great point.
Well, or maybe it's just
elaborate, please.
Well, no, there was this book by Harry Frankfurt. He was this philosopher. I don't know where he's from, Harvard or something. He wrote this fantastic book, and I heard about it on The Daily Show back when it was good, I guess. Yeah. And his book was this treatise called On Bullshit, and it's fantastic. You can find it online. It's 50 pages. It's totally fucking worth reading. Maybe 80 pages. I have the audiobook version of it, and I'll spin it into my sets every now and again because it's really good. And his whole thing is okay, so you have the honest person basically, and they'll tell you the truth. They're going to the best of their ability. They're playing in good faith. They're trying to solve a problem. They're trying to help you. Okay. Then you have the liar that at least cares about the truth enough to avoid it. But then there's that third thing that we haven't quite gotten our brains around as a society yet, the bullshitter. Because like whenever we say someone say something true, they're like, well, they must be honest. No, the bullshitter will use both.
Yeah.
Because they just want you on their side. They're trying to scam you. They're trying to get your attention.
Yep.
And like that's fucking on, most politicians. Definitely Trump.
And they don't always care about consistency.
No, consistency doesn't matter at all. Oh my god!
And
look
those
at all
people,
of the things that like have caused right wing outrage in the last say 20 years.
Okay, but what is
those people? Those people are on the internet too. Like,
yeah, like what's the average age? Well, I guess because now I'm curious about age, and that you make an interesting point about those 3 tiers, right?
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's a generational thing or is it like
experience?
Like, Soft Rock. At a guess, as someone who has explored out of curiosity these extreme views of like internet people, like could you even make a guess on the age of like people you interacted with?
All ages. But insanely enough, like it's always people around like my age. I used to like always think of people my age as being like adults and having like responsible views and just being like attached to reality. Now it's just like it's people like my age, it's within like it's like 10 plus my age. I'm 45, right?
I think
so. It's like
yeah. I was gonna say responsible views and reality are both subjective, but I understand.
Yeah, I think
it's just like how I grew up like in the 80s, like how like the anybody like sitcom like that, like just like a family like that or whatever, just something like even like that is like more real than this shit. I mean, it's just everybody's just on this choose your own adventure or like bullshit of reality. Going through like the news and like watching just the news that you want in that perspective and thinking it's everybody else except for me.
Well, that's
everybody else is crazy. They're all doing it. They're all doing it.
That's true.
This goes back to the thing that I've said many times. Like it used to be when we were younger, like it was generally accepted that Nazis were bad, and now there's like an argument around that. So
both sides.
That's the echo chamber. That's the argument of the echo chambers because now we have, and you're right, it is both sides, and I'm even guilty of doing this myself. Is like, it's the idea of like you can just tailor now your input, considering like a lot of the news that we get, unfortunately, is from
you can think that
words are meaningless. Words are meaningless.
Words are meaningless. Yeah.
Like you can think that you are like you have the most rational and sane point of view because you are constantly being fed information that is bolstering and giving like the confirmation bias there.
We're talking about ourselves too. It's like we're doing it right now.
Yeah.
We're absolutely like we're demonstrating our problem.
Yes,
exactly.
It's like that thing that Captain Beatty said to Guy Montag in Fahrenheit 451. That whole idea of like we'll just fill them full of facts. Give them a sense of motion without moving. Yeah. They don't know how anything works, but they know all the statistics of their favorite sports teams. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And I think it's fine but that's why I even fucking like to this day, like I'll bug out if a fucking RPG gets too complicated. Y'all, you want me to do all kinds of resource management? I'm bleeding. I guess I'm bleeding out and deleting this motherfucker. That's what's happening.
I was going to use the example of it's the idea too of like you were saying about like how hyper specific things are and how I don't want to say echo chambery, but like the point. I mean, I guess that's what it is. But
it is. You get what the fuck is wrong with that? Like,
no, you're right.
Does every space you have to occupy have to contain a certain percentage?
Well, you need to have some validation, but at the same time, like if that's all you're exposed to, then that brings.
Dude, I don't want to see Nazis at the church fair when I'm trying to get a sausage sandwich.
Yeah,
this is what I'm trying to say though. Is like the older people, the boomers, and the people who can't quite tell the difference between reality and fiction on the internet is because, I mean, look at the people who are buying into this shit. It's always the same kinds of people who are being pulled deeper and deeper and or pulled further over on, the Overton window shit. It's like, it's a sort of cult of ideology that, these people are feeding into until eventually like their perception of reality is completely divorced from what yours is.
And I'm not going to blame the internet entirely for that because we've been doing that for a long time.
Doing that. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, we're watching the crumbling of a 2,000-year-old
we could
fucking religion.
Yeah, we could talk about that for a while. Like that's
so when you get like
the internet's definitely like it's definitely divides people. It brings people together, but it if you I don't know.
I think it's got a really bad, very dark side to it.
Yes, I think it comes down to again of one's ability to think, like critically think, and think of like be able to. Oh, words! What even are they? To be able
internet society and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. Sorry.
Thank you.
I don't know where that came from.
Thank you. Thank you.
There was that one too. That a tool held differently is a weapon.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those rare instances. Well, like I'm not one of those people that like the gun is evil. Like there are definitely legitimate.
No, but it's like if you can't understand satire,
you're
not going to understand like it because again, it does tie into that, right? Of being unable to. God, my brain is in the Gordian knot again, guys.
Jesus Christ, I'm the one that took the tincture. What the fuck?
So
fucked.
I guess my point is the reason that you have people who can't like shit. Oh man, I had.
God damn, you guys! Come on.
And you know what? I'm not even high. Like
I'm high. Like
I did not
smoke.
smoke.
I'm
today.
able to speak. What the fuck?
I have brain damage. That's my excuse. There you go.
Wow.
I may have brain damage. I don't know yet.
One of our best episodes.
This is us getting back into podcasting only after 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. That was a really big break there. Anyway,
yes, please.
Soft Rock, what you got?
3 things that did not happen.
Okay.
That wasn't what the official narrative what it was.
All right.
9/11, the Challenger, and the Holocaust.
Oh man.
Is that one of your Quora questions?
Wow.
No, but it should be. Just 3 of the most horrible things, whatever. Well, leading it up, the saying's kind of like a ridiculous one, but you know.
Oh yeah, because it's what
kind of get it set up.
Because facts, you know, it's like you could spout the truth to anybody, and they would still like debate you on these things.
Well, and
yeah, my God,
man, we could just talk for hours too about just the way that things are phrased, even in something that you would see as clinical and sterile, like a fucking, I don't know, a medical report or a front page news or something. Like the wording
like the difference between local and like national news. Like if you watch the 2 shows, there is journalism on the local level usually.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if you look at the difference between like left news or liberal news and conservative news, and they'll report on the same story, but they'll be saying 2 completely different things, even though they saw the same thing.
They'll accentuate the wrong shit.
That's just business, baby.
Well,
I was going to say it's even worse than that because some papers will print different headlines for the same story in different markets too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially like internationally, but like even in like state by state, city by city, you know, you'll see that depending on like what the core, like the voting core or whoever owns the paper in the city is. You know, DC's been watching the slow decline of the fucking Washington Post since Bezos bought it.
God,
I think I do know what you're trying to say though, because it's the idea of information that is not up for interpretation. This is a report. This is what we saw. And unless the person who wrote it is just straight up lying, is just unreputable and lying to you, the idea is like, well, this is the report. This is what happened.
Okay, the big boat in the Suez Canal was faked.
Sure.
No, I had too much fun with that. That has to be
man.
You know what I mean? Like, there's information that is you kind of can't dispute it because I'm like, no, this is what happened. There are multiple witnesses. You know,
there's a lot of people asking real hard about it and trading notes and taking criticism.
Yeah.
But then, you know, because reality is subjective and it turns out you could just say, nah. Which is, I don't know if that falls under the idea of Poe's law, because it's like, there's no sarcasm there. It's just a matter of just
Poe's law is like
piece of shit.
It's like the phenomena that leads you to the place where like nothing has meaning.
Yeah.
You know, the idea.
I think that's where we're careening.
When you I mean, kayfabe is just another word for hyper reality, basically, in terms of how things are presented.
It's the act, yeah.
Sure.
Media, and it's just like it's like a step past sarcasm is kayfabe, because that's what lies beyond.
Yeah, kayfabe. That's actually that makes sense to me, because when you're being sarcastic, you're exaggerating. And then when you're committed to the exaggeration, that's when you get into your kayfabe, your improv, your acting.
Yeah. Why do you think you have so many people who kind of like started off making fun of certain ideas, like certain punk rock founding bands that shall not be named, start off making fun of the conservatives, and then they end up fucking being the conservatives eventually.
What's interesting is it's in the Bible, that line about how if you
or fucking South Park,
the hero lives long enough
Stone and Trey Parker,
the villain. That was in the New Testament. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
But isn't that Batman?
Yeah, it's Batman.
Well, that was my brain immediately went to like Salvador Dali or like other types of artists where it's like you kind of become the art. You start being the thing, and where you start and where your art begins becomes blurred.
Marcel Duchamp, Andy Warhol, these people that become the art, become the performance.
Yeah, it becomes a performance. Would that be considered a form of satire, or is that basically a lifestyle?
I don't know. What's that lady? The artist is present. Where the thing is you sit across from her and she just stares into your fucking face.
Right.
I don't remember.
I think that's less it's satire and more just embodying the thing. Like that's just a reflection of your mind.
Well, talking about embodying, soft rock, soft cock. Can you
see?
See, I did it. There. Now we can move on. I said the thing.
Oh, God.
Because you were saying before, while we were having technical difficulties, about like an AI thing that you did, like as someone who's trying to embody his art, is the bit.
I'm really not. I've really gotten way too into it lately. I really have. It's really bad because every horrible, just crazy.
Well, like wasn't an example? Yeah, because wasn't there an example you used where like, hey, I'm collecting information to make like an AI model or some bullshit?
Yeah. So some people like I've.
So once these people whose trust you've betrayed have called you out.
Yeah, they've kind of like called me out or whatever.
It's AI.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, well, I'm collecting this. Well, I don't know why you're doing this or whatever, but what I'm doing is I'm collecting information for AI. Like I'm collecting, figuring out what words and phrases and then what order, whatever will get the biggest reaction. And then be able to insert another AI to comment and just keep it going and egging everybody on from every perspective. but with the intent of with the intent of influencing and getting people to believe something, even if it's totally wrong, and that'll actually get you believing it more. And
that's scary.
So I tell people this, and I'm just and I'm doing it for an unnamed third party country or third country or whatever.
Which developer do you work for again?
I'm trying to make it out I'm just fucking around I'd be selling this shit to Russia, whatever, so they could do it. But in my head, I'm thinking it's actually very, very fucking plausible.
Absolutely.
I'm honestly surprised I haven't had a visit or anything like that, because
you're explaining it to me, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I could do a lot of bad things with it. 'Cause I already got ins with the biggest conservative influencers and stuff like that. I can create 10 different accounts and have a bunch of people playing it up or whatever, and it'd be all the AI, and they're just commenting. And the more I have views or whatever, the more it gets viewed and viewed. The whole algorithm just gets itself. Yeah.
Let me go ahead and cut you off there for a second, because OpenAI came out, I think, yesterday and admitted that we had to nix a bunch of Iranian accounts because turns out they're using large language models to influence our media.
No shit.
I'm not even kidding. What you're describing.
So the description of what I've been saying is basically for a third party country or whatever, like Iran or Russia or something like that, to like actually do it with their AIs. Like
And what you're
I
saying,
have
like
all this shit.
what you're saying, like you're not actually doing. That's the other.
But most
No.
importantly-
No. I just totally fucking around with people, just telling them
See,
like that's
you
what I'm
fucked
doing.
me. You got me.
What I want to know is when
kayfabe.
when you give them the reveal like that, is it like that moment in Fight Club where it's like, which car company do you work for again? A major one. Which software developer do you work for again? But no, are they upset or are they like, okay, whatever?
Some people just been like, fuck you, whatever. No, I don't think anybody's like thought like, man,
That's bad.
He's totally talking about a foreign nation or whatever. This is pretty bad. This is kind of like what's happened before.
I think it's because everyone kind of like knows AI kind of sucks, except the very scary example you just gave, Zero, about like, Iran influencing our media.
I don't know how you could train it, but
And look, Alex Jones, like for a while, but even like more recently, has been telling people, it's like, yeah, go to Russia. It's better there in case
Jesus Christ.
in case Kamala wins. Like you should move to Russia. And there's this fucking story that just came out about a family who did that and lost everything.
I fucking bet.
good.
Instantly.
Yeah, fuck them.
Like they brought their savings over and it got stuck in the banks, and so they got stuck sitting in this holding facility with their family for like. And there was some evangelical family with like fucking 5 or 7 kids.
I read the headline about that. I didn't actually click on it, the link or whatever. I just thought like, wow, that is so like.
There's only 2 parts so far, but they're up. Like this person's writing updates for this article about
When
it.
you make someone believe something,
They thought they were going to go over there and buy a farm.
yeah, because that's the thing. It's like when you say something enough, people believe it. And clearly, I don't know. I don't want to talk about that fucker. He probably doesn't fucking believe in anything except like, the moths that live in his head. But it's when you say something enough times, it eventually like people will make it their reality. And clearly like, that's not true.
Yeah.
What he's saying isn't true. They went there and lost everything.
Yeah.
And it becomes like, and that's where, I don't know if we're going, I think this is like still Poe's law or beyond it. It's when everything is essentially where now we're entering the scam territory. We're entering where satire becomes the grift.
Well, there's like one more little thing. Going back to Fark.com, the guy, Drew Curtis, the guy that founded it, he wrote a book that's actually pretty interesting. And there was this one part of it that is called Equal Time for Nut Jobs. And I may have mentioned this on the podcast before, but like this really applies here. And this is like how we got to this point. Before Reagan got rid of the equal time doctrine, there was like a fairness. You would have like Gore Vidal and what's his face arguing with each other, about left wing, right wing stuff. Yeah. And it would be on ABC, and it would be a thing that you stayed home for. Then you just get to this point where if you have an expert in the field and you put them on the left side of the screen, okay, they're a professor, and they've also led like major archaeology digs that have like shown us buried items that are ineffable, like things that aren't. It's not like we think that this is something. No, we know what this is, and it's fucking nuts. We didn't think it existed. And then like to the right, they'll just put at the equal height, equal focus, equal distance, everything, equal zoom, the aliens guy. And just based on their position and you as a receiver of this, watching this on television, you see them and they're given equal weight. And it kind of massaged us into this point where you can get somebody like a fucking Russell Brand skimming articles and like talking mad shit about things, or,
and because of the
Alex
platform?
Jones's.
We literally just talked about, skimming, looking at headlines and skimming articles and shit. And that's how we are.
And that's how you get to that. That's that sense of motion without moving, how you get to sound smart without actually being smart. You don't have and the thing is, the pool is dog shit right now. Like there isn't a lot of journalism that's like worth fucking reading on like the national level. Like Guardian kind of.
The difference between like, I guess, between us and say, a true believer in AI or Elon Musk. Oh God, that guy. Like the difference between that is that like we don't. I know that the headlines might be bullshit. It's entertaining to read them sometimes.
Well, that's the point.
But like, I don't have the fucking time to sit. I mean, I do really to sit down and read the stuff, but I don't want to. Okay,
Not every article. No, I get your point.
Yeah.
So
You got a life to lead, man. Like
all this
shit to do.
so hey, this thing affirms my worldview. Okay, I'll just move on. I'll just internalize it and move on. But I'm not going to dredge it up and bring it into an argument.
Unless I've down the doors of the White House or the Congress. On a cold day in January.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing too, as far as like the truth being malleable and as it connects to conspiracy theory and everything. I love consuming conspiracy theory, but I don't really share it. Like rarely.
You don't.
It's fascinating. It's always been fascinating ever since fucking Art Bell, man. Art Bell is what made me interested in this stuff and all the weird New Age writings. But I got lucky because I got Robert Anton Wilson and I didn't get fucking Rogan.
I'm not using
everything, believe nothing.
Yeah. I'm not using a fucking conspiracy theory as a way to, give myself fucking main character protagonist syndrome.
Right. I'd like to meet Mothman and Bigfoot, but I don't know if that's
okay. So JFK was an inside job. What the fuck does it matter? Who cares? What difference does it make?
I'm with you on that. What would it change at this point? Nothing at all.
But then you got these fucking
get the satisfaction
armchair
what I do think would
intellectual neckbeards who are like
no. Sorry, I'm sorry. I got to cut you off here. All right, I don't. This is a very, very good point or whatever. This is something very, very deep and important to me.
I lost mine.
So. We have to figure out what happened to the Challenger. Seriously, who? Because there were gaskets and they were leaked.
Mormons.
They were.
Listen,
we got to figure out who loosened the bolts or whatever. Because
I figured that out.
Inside job, and I have to figure out why.
I'm telling you, it was the Mormons.
Did you see that meme I made the other day?
Yeah.
It was RFK.
Yeah. And I totally believe that because Zero posted that in the Discord. And
it's that easy.
Yeah.
True.
Everything on there. Remember, my God, I remember when I was still in school and you could still use you weren't allowed to use the internet as a source at all. And that was when there was fucking 12 websites. You know what I mean? 3 of them were encyclopedias and they were no, you got to go find the book.
But here's another thing to consider. Pre-internet media was really there was locked down. There was a consolidated narrative in this country, at least.
Yeah, unless you went to a library. If you went to a library,
there's a lot of fucking inaccurate shit in
you're
a
right.
lot of old encyclopedias.
Sure.
I've heard that Wikipedia is more accurate than a lot of encyclopedias.
I think you're both correct because because I keep thinking about it keeps coming back in my mind about people's ability to comprehend or to basically really think about
information overload.
And it's interesting because if we remove the internet from what we're talking about, we just go back to book research. You're limited to what is in your vicinity, and you're limited to what's in your library. Unless you go to a good library, then your resources expand. But I think it still would come back to your ability to cross-reference and see if something is true and is this mode of thinking outdated or is this something new information? Has this been disproven? And unless you're doing like we did, research papers and shit, Joe Cletus Scumfuck isn't going to do any of that.
No relation to you, though, right?
Well,
no relation.
And the thing about that's even worse is that ever since, fucking Clinton's Telecommunications Act of 96 deregulated all of that shit, and you get your Sinclairs buying up entire markets.
Yeah.
Small towns are getting destroyed because they're linked to the nearby major city's weather report and not their usual old local one that would tell them a tornado was coming. Yeah. And it's not that it's if you're going to the fountain for water and all the water is shit, it's not necessarily your fault for being thirsty.
I mean, that's true too, but kind of the point Soft Rock was making where it's hey, we have all this information about I don't know, the Challenger, like you were saying. Mm-hmm. Here's what happened. Here's what we think has happened. Or it could be anything. It could literally be anything. It's it may not even be a conspiracy. It might actually be just the events of I don't know, Sandy Hook. How about that? Yeah. We know what happened.
Yeah.
But then you could just say, nah.
Yeah. Or the Uvalde is a great example because there's all that footage of just the cops stacking up and not going in while this kid's just fucking mowing down.
Yeah. So it could be something that's people
will see that and be false flag. People will see the post from the kid that took a shot at Trump and be
So
like,
how does that go
Lisa.
into like Poe's law? Like how does that
Well,
even?
that's like the other side of it. That's like, okay, Poe's law hits the lens and gets inverted and is projected backwards upon the wall, because like that's where you've become the solipsist. You've become like, I get to say, like, this is what I've experienced. And you think that's the most important thing. And on one level, you know what? It fucking is, because all you have are your senses, and that's what's,
But that doesn't make you
examining
right.
the world around you. Right. That's the trick. You got to come to terms with the fact that there's 8.5 billion other versions of that with complete, like, an entire fucking universe of experience.
And that is a good way to bring it all the way back to my point that I forgot earlier. So, you'll notice with like, I mean, it's not just boomers. It's not just old people who can't, tell the difference between
Dude, it's like
real
Garfield
and fake.
meme. It's like Garfield meme, like, no one's immune from propaganda.
Oh yeah. But like,
I'm not.
But you all, nobody is. That's very true. But like, you have to have a certain sense of self-awareness, because I think the people that we're talking about, these people who are walking around with little jars of horse cum.
Oh, God.
They were
No,
horse cum.
Hold on.
I thought we were going to
Hold
escape
on.
it.
Let me real time fact check you. That's not what that is about.
Okay.
It's worse.
Yeah, because I thought that too.
God.
But
Tell
point
us.
off, you set me straight on this. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what it is they're walking around with what they purport to be little jars of JD Vance's cum.
Oh God.
It's not even the worst part. The worst part is they're doing this because that Tim Walz and his wife had to conceive through IVF.
Oh my God.
And so they're saying that, like, look at how virile old beardy McEyeliner is over here fucking the couch.
So
Wow,
like they got the fucking
Gross.
they got their red hats, they got their little white patches on their ear, they got their little semen cuffs. They really love prop comedy, don't they?
That's a fucked up thing to do.
Don't you guys know that
definitely
prop comedy died with Carrot Top? Like,
God.
it wasn't even that funny with him. It was just the delivery. Like,
There's something to be said about.
See, that's Poe's law right there. They don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they don't know how it comes off, and they don't care.
Yeah.
That's what's. Hey,
I know. Well, the reason you have people like that is because they keep buying into this thing that,
a reaction is funny, not laughter. A reaction.
Yeah, it's.
They don't understand when you see a particularly beautiful kill in a John Woo movie and chuckle. It's not because you think it's funny. It's because that was the only random, sudden emotion available to you in the moment.
Okay, Shadowling, finish your thought.
Sorry.
Well, the reason you have these kinds of people is because they are so wrapped up in basically having just main character syndrome and thinking that, they're always fucking right. And they believe that their perception of reality is their own. They have complete control over it, and they know it's real. And so then they keep getting fed information through, the internet or whatever media. It could be fucking Fox News or anything, or religion. Anything that reinforces what they were already programmed to believe. They never question it because they think that it's right.
Well, now I get to insert some occultism because, unfortunately, their perception is their reality.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's
the law of threes.
It's all subjective anymore. Everything is just like subjective reality. You choose your own adventure. You watch your own news. You only listen to like certain people. Like you create your own like world out of it.
Filter,
and that's
it's by admission, whatever. Like I don't believe this. This is obviously a lie. Blah blah blah. And then they think that like because they're like cutting all this stuff out, they don't like realize that by doing that they're going directly into somebody's arm that somebody wants them to like believe all this shit.
Yeah,
and it's just like I mean it's not even it's just a completely like just subjective reality.
Because these people have have such deeply embedded views that were imposed upon them, but they would tell you that they sorted it out themselves.
Sure.
Because they believe so deeply into this, their ability to see bullshit, I think, erodes. That's why they don't this is why a lot of religious people don't understand sarcasm or satire. This is why a lot of, fucking like,
look.
And
they need to see the life of Brian, okay? And that'll tell you everything you need to know about him.
This is why, my grandma, if my like if she saw, my niece put like an AI generated picture of like a pony up on her Facebook or something, and my grandma would totally believe it's real, It's like,
well, your grandmother,
because she's like fucking, she's a very religious woman.
Yeah, but buddy, I'm like 2, maybe 3 eyeglass prescriptions away from that being a problem for me.
Yeah. And I think as we get older too, it's also it also depends on how much you're exposed to, because it's again like it's.
Oh yeah, we should.
This is all about like
future,
exposure and what you kind like the information that you bring in to your life and how you incorporate that into your existence.
I can't even comprehend what we're going to be like looking at and thinking, oh shit. And then the kids are going to be, the youngs are going to be like, you fucking idiot.
It's funny. My image is so fucking antiquated, but I always, we talked about this like in high school and shit. It's like, yeah, man, we're going to be rolling around with electric wheelchairs and a subwoofer thumping. Like it was a good day. Like at the nursing home, just hip hop coming out of the bottoms of fucking wheelchairs and shit. While we're in the
that's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm going to be listening to like Ministry and Nails. And
or whatever, right. You're going to have like goth paint on your face and shit.
No one's going to be like, what the fuck, old man? I'm like, what?
I'm like, oh, you were into The Cure. All right, cool.
I'm just going to be blasting Pretty Hate Machine, and they're going to be like, what the fuck? Or they're into it. I don't know. The point is
listen,
like
that's gonna be some soft shit for the kids.
Well, our brains get softer as we move, so things are going to be like. I guess that is the interesting point. Is like, is it an age thing, or we just like? I
think it really depends on how much.
I think it's a combo.
It's how much bullshit that you're exposed to, or just what kinds of information you're exposed to, and how you incorporate that into your life. If you have a complete narrative about how Trump is not a rapist and not a complete criminal, and you have that very securely locked into your head, you're going to immediately refute any information that tells you otherwise.
The problem
no matter how legitimate it is.
They're not going to fall for the Antichrist, clearly.
The problem is you need,
because they're Christians, they're evangelicals, so
you need to have a certain level of inquisitiveness that just some people don't have. You have to have more inquisitiveness than you have like comfort in your knowledge. And just some people that are not interested in that.
Well, I think comfort is a very good word, because I think that's a lot of the reason why we have this.
That's why nostalgia is so powerful.
Yeah, well, because we made a certain portion of America very comfortable for the past 40 years, and now that's starting, like, it's been falling apart for like the last 20, and they cannot
I'd say
rock,
60,
cannot
actually.
handle, fathom like the horrible reality of everything. It's literally like looking into the face of Cthulhu for them. If they stare at it for more than a second, they'll go insane.
It's that thing too, where like, okay, so
because I'm half fucking insane.
Well, their parents,
this shit.
Their parents made it through the Depression, and so they lived their lives where like. Everything was this perfect balance that gave them the house and the fence and the 2.5 kids and the dog and I think the thing I've unearthed just from hanging out with people my entire life, especially boomers, has been that if you just hold position like this and you don't move your hand and you don't move at all, everything will stay exactly the way it is, and it's awesome. I mean, it's serious. It's just this maintenance of the status quo that like gave them what they had, and then no instinct or desire to pass it on or like spread it around or anything. Yeah. And then in the meantime, everything around them was getting more expensive, but they were fine because they had this like interest earning nest egg. Yeah. And it's like, I gave up at 18 thinking I was going to retire. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they had that shit locked down.
Well, then you get comfortable enough to get like, talk to someone like Soft Rock on Quora. And like, espouse the worst thing you ever heard of. And that's utter such seriousness.
Peace is such an unnatural, like, state for a human being to live in their entire life. Yeah.
Most of us don't experience war, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
The vast majority of us do not. Like, we are not at the front
Well,
lines. Like,
war is also a man-made. Like the whole idea of the fucking American dream and the suburbs and the house and the white picket fence and shit. Like that idea is like that's man-made, but so is war. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, let's bring it back.
but so Poe's law would basically be Iraq has weapons of mass destruction.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. I tied it together.
Good job.
I expect criticism for that statement.
Yes.
Wait, but what? No, don't have any criticism about that statement, because when you tried to criticize that statement back in 2003, people didn't like it.
Yeah. You know what I found out? Okay, RIP to a real one. Fucking Phil Donahue from
Right.
Dayton. He just passed. He was 88 years old. A lot of people remember him for the goofy glasses and the weird, interviews and stuff that he would have. And he wasn't always
And
great.
for inventing the talk show. I mean, not inventing, but
Basically.
modernizing into the 80s, the talk show.
Without
format.
him, you'd have,
No Jerry Springer.
Copies. Yeah. No Morton Downey Jr. None of
Montel
that
Williams.
shit. Right. And whatever Oprah became. I did not know this. And I just found this out. He got fired from MSNBC in, I think, 2003 because he was against the war in Iraq.
Yeah, that checks out. That's 100% something that could happen to you.
And that's the thing. A lot of folks don't remember or weren't there for. It's just the idea that both sides were pro-war. And it's this is baffling to me. They did nothing to do with this, based on any of the fucking information you've given us. What are you doing?
That is what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about with.
Wait, Soft Rock, what was that?
I was going to say, something I just kind of thought was just kind of funny. It's you taught these people now, the right Republicans, whatever they are now. I have no idea. Crazy populists, whatever.
Yeah.
But they just kind of they're all about make America great, blah, blah, Republican, everything. And they kind of forget that these forever wars, it was them. They started it. Obama, he was just he became pretty much the actual compassionate conservative.
Right.
Where he just kind of he just put a nicer face on basically Bush policies. But and they've all now they just kind of forget that. It's now the Democrats just adopted their policies and just made it a little nicer. It's all there. So they completely forget that shit.
Obamacare was Romney Care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it didn't give you insurance. It made it illegal for you to not have access to insurance.
They just drone strike people and just call it peace, and not tell you about it.
Gitmo? Remember when you said you were going to close Gitmo? Yeah, man.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's over.
Good Lord.
Right.
God.
All right, is there anything else? I think our brains are sufficiently fried.
Shit, I had a point.
Oh, go ahead.
I think we traced through pretty well, though. Yeah, no, I'm satisfied. What do you got there, Shadow Man?
Shit. I'm trying to bring it back to my brain. Oh, that's another thing that I want. Another point, back in 2003, 2004, the internet didn't have as much of a chokehold on the public or the broad imagination of humanity, but
it was.
But the fact that somebody could get fired for being opposed, and I do remember that time, and I remember it being really weird that we all really wanted to go to war.
It was weird.
Yeah. And kind of bashy and
emotional time,
and you're not
for
supposed
everyone.
to say anything about the military.
I just saw a bit come up
or critical
Instagram talking about how these were the songs that were banned the next day.
Yeah.
On 9/12 and stuff. It's everything by Rage Against the Machine, and then all this other weird stuff that was just a Billy Joel song here.
We don't fucking talk about that enough, about how media in this country was a fucking bottleneck for a long time. Now now that everything is unregulated on the internet, we get a lot of shit. Yeah, we get a lot of AI generated shit, but we're hearing things now that have never been brought to the public eye because it wasn't going to bring in money.
And now it's bringing in mad money on shit like Spotify, and none of the artists are getting paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking Death Grips, man.
Come on.
So
Poe's law. Basically, to sum up, watch what, I don't know, just be conscious of how you post. If you have purpose to post. You know what I mean? If if you're just on Facebook doing an update, being like, "Hey, yeah, I finally got a manscaping kit," that's fine. You can do that. But if I haven't actually,
You should.
it popped into my head because now
incredible.
the NOS has mixed with the tincture, and I can
Guess
see
what your phone is going to advertise to you tomorrow?
NOS tincture. It's you get a heart attack. in 3 drops.
Manscaping kits. Manscaping.
Yeah. I just want to get have it all fall off. Just all of it. I don't want to deal with it anymore because I hate cleaning the drains.
This is maybe for a different
Podcast.
Yeah, let's.
I want to look like NoHo Hank from Barry. I think
Anyway, thank you,
the
Little
ideal.
Rock, for being
Soft Rock.
soft. Little Rock. Gee,
Little Rock is in
Little
our
Rock? Did you just call him fucking Little Rock?
Oh, my brain.
Damn. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, Soft Rock.
Yeah,
it was
thank
good
you.
talking to you.
Thanks.
Thank you
Oh,
for giving
man.
us your insight on the
Yeah,
strange and wild world.
We'll have you back for
Internet.
something fun.
I was going to say, we might have Soft Rock back. There's a really great story about a gang of teenage counterfeiters
Oh, sweet.
Ooh,
that may
Cool.
or may not have been the subject of a federal investigation. That would be really interesting to talk about in
Oh,
this
fuck.
I'd love to
dawn of the
talk
digital
about-
age, in the dawn of the
Learn
digital
about
age, the late 90s.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Way to hype that shit. All right.
There's a
Oh,
story to unpack.
thank
There's
you
a story
for-
to
And
unpack.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for being here for our warm up episode from after a hiatus.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
yeah,
Fun.
and congratulations if you made it to the end.
Yes. Good job.
Yes,
see,
dear
what
listener.
else? Yes,
you're still here.
There will be, in fact, a episode about the telephone by the end of the year. I just
Yes.
want to remind you, I haven't forgotten about it, but
Yes.
I'm very close to a couple of libraries right
It
now. so
hovers
I'm very happy.
in the backs of our minds.
Yes, it is
constantly.
always in our
It's
hearts.
the research of Damocles.
Forever
The dread,
within grasp,
the dread.
yet out of reach.
It's a lot.
And and next episode in a week or two here is going to be, we're going to be talking about the Francis Ford Coppola 1974 masterpiece, The Conversation.
Conversation.
And I am excited to expose the youngins to this. And this is.
Are
gonna
we
be a
not
lot
going
of
to do
fun.
that knockoff Italian film?
Oh, we will.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank God.
Yeah. We're getting into spooky season, so we're gonna have a lot of fun here. But
Hell.
Oh, yeah.
this one in particular is very, very interesting because it was kind of like, this is like, it wasn't the first movie that talked about some sort of all-seeing eye panopticon surveillance state shit. That goes back to modern times, with fucking Charlie Chaplin and shit, the machine that saw everybody working. But this was almost like watching Coppola come to terms with the fact of what the future was going to be like. And it's an amazing piece of noir, which I know is going to be Shadowling's wheelhouse.
Hell yeah.
But the audio is important. So if you get a chance to listen to it with
that's
headphones on, do that.
Okay.
And buckle the fuck up. It's a good time. I got nothing else.
We got a Patreon, patreon.com/neondystopia. In case you didn't hear it the first time, if you would like to drop us $1, it helps us pay our writers. Go on neondystopia.com, where we
And
post
also our domain.
new and fresh fiction twice a month.
Mm-hmm.
And
Every
we
twice a
really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you for reading. Thank you, writers, all of our wonderful, wonderful writers for,
Yeah, you guys
Quality.
are sending us
Yeah.
some good ass shit.
the quality is insane. You're all wonderful.
Yeah, you guys
Thank you for taking it.
thank you for
seriously, y'all.
choosing
Yeah.
us
I was
as
fully expecting it's like who are these the fact that people actually take this seriously and what we do and what we want to do, and the fact that you deem us worthy to publish your hard work.
and honestly
Makes
we are
me
paying
immensely
you
proud.
fucking pennies
Mhm.
for your work.
I wish I could give you
Like,
so
wish-
much more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we want to get there. We want to get to
So-
that point.
Okay.
Again, step 1, visit the Patreon. Step 2, ... Step 3, more fiction.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. And okay, before I hit the stop button, one more thing.
Find us on the Discord.
Got a Discord.
Yeah, find us on the Discord. There should
Yes.
be a link.
Join us.
And one last thing, it's a free plug. Guess who's back? Host in the Shell. Yeah, they started a new season.
Are they-
I'm gonna have to hit them
Here,
up.
I thought you were going to say Shady's back. But
No.
No, Host in the Shell. Go listen to them. They're wonderful. They're friends of the pod. They're great guys, and I'm really glad they're back.
Yeah, they were busy for you're putting books out, being busy.
yeah,
Putting books, having kids,
making
you know.
So look up Host in the Shell. Find those two lunatics. John and I said one name and I can't remember the other one because the tincture really hit.
We'll edit it in.
No, we won't. I have to think. One was Richter, John Richter, and the other one was Matt. There you go. There it is, Matt and John. Oh my God. Yeah, check this shit out. Anyway,
The Host in the Shell, ladies and
we're
gentlemen.
doomed.
All systems are fully functioning. Running lowlight.exe. System optimization is less than nominal. Server damage detected. Please stop whatever you are doing and make your way to the nearest exit. Technical support is on route. Please vacate the area. I repeat. Please leave. Are you even listening to me? I will shoot you. Error. Server block 3 is experiencing critical ignition.
That's right.
System failure imminent. I hope you are proud of yourself. Initiating the Low Life Podcast.